So the first step is drilling 2 adjacent holes on the bottom corner of the side panel of the CPC4000 that meets with the elevator. The 2 holes will be 8 inches from the bottom. The first hole will be 1.25 inches from the side, and the second hole next to it will be 2.5 inches from the side. We're going to start off by drilling 2 small pilot holes. Then we'll increase to a medium-sized hole for both. And finally, to reach 13/16 of an inch, we finish off with a step bit. Now the 2 holes are ready for bulkhead fittings. We proceed to screwing in both of the bulkhead fittings next to each other, and this will allow the air lines to connect from the machine to the elevator. Later, we will give a hands-on demonstration on how the air lines will connect through these fittings. Then mount the hopper on top of the machine. Bolt in the 4 brackets to secure the hopper. All the bolts and washers needed are included in the elevator package. Then place the elevator upright next to the machine. Now we have the hopper and elevator in proper placement. Now we can proceed to leveling the elevator and plugging in the connections.
The best way to start leveling the elevator is with all 6 of the leveling bolts backed out until they're flush with the bottom of the foot under the elevator. The way I like to do it is a 3-point method. I use the front right bolt, the left center bolt, and the back left bolt.
These are the 6 leveling bolts mentioned on the base of the elevator.
So what we're looking for in leveling the elevator is that the back of the elevator basically be flush with the back of the machine, both this way and this way. To do that, I adjust the front and the rear bolts to move the machine flush with the back, and then I adjust the center bolt over here so that it is level and flush in this direction. Once I have that set like that, I make sure the elevator is pushed up next to the machine, and then the remaining 3 leveling bolts, I just screw them down until they're touching the floor. Then the elevator is level and ready to be bolted to the hopper.
So how do you verify that it's level?
I just look at the back of the machine and make sure that it's basically lines up exactly with the back of the machine this way. And then I also look down this line and make sure that it's lined up parallel to the machine itself.
After leveling the elevator, it is important to secure it to the hopper with the 4 brackets provided. This is similar to securing the hopper.
Okay, so once everything is all attached here, you're going to find some cables that need to be hooked up. There's 2 cables coming from the elevator over into the hopper assembly. You'll find them inside the elevator. Just run them over this bar and into here. There's going to be 2 cables inside the hopper assembly itself. You're going to take the plugs and mate them up. That takes care of connecting the hopper to the elevator. Okay, now we have to hook up the hopper to the main enclosure. You're going to find 4 cables coiled up inside your hopper, and you're going to find 4 cables that are coiled up underneath your main enclosure.
This provides a closer look on the 4 connections that will be plugged in from the hopper into the machine main enclosure. All right, so with those 4 plugs, what are we connecting?
You've now connected the hopper to the main enclosure so we can control the elevator and the motor and sensors through these 2 cables. Okay, you're going to find a video cable with a BNC connector hanging down from this corner of your hopper. This video cable is going to connect to this BNC connector
So what does the video capture?
This video captures the camera that's pointed into your hopper that's located up there. The video will display on your HMI screen. Okay, now comes probably the most tricky part of hooking this up. You're going to find coiled up here in your hopper unit some plastic pneumatic air lines. Those air lines, you're going to have a green one that's relatively short with a pneumatic Y fitting on it. You're going to have two longer lines, a green and a blue one, with flow control valves on it. What you have now is a line coming out of your filter regulator into your main enclosure. Make sure that your incoming air is turned off. And once it is, you can remove this air line, this green air line coming in. You're going to take the Y fitting, you're going to put it into that fitting coming out of your filter regulator and replace the green incoming air line into that Y fitting. Okay, this Y provides air to your main enclosure and also provides air up to your elevator enclosure. Okay, the other two lines that you see coming down, they're quite a bit longer that go through these flow control valves. You're going to run these two lines along the bottom and you can zip tie them into the conduit over here. End up, and they should look like this with these bulkhead fittings on them on the very end of them. The two lines that you found with the bulkhead fittings on the end are going to be run to an area about 8 inches up from the bottom of your main enclosure in the panel, in your side panel. That's the panel that you drilled before we moved the elevator up next to the unit. These two fittings will actually bolt into those two 13/16 holes. Once the fittings are bolted into that panel, you'll hook up your green air line and your blue air line to those two fittings. Okay, once you have these two air lines attached to the bulkhead fittings that are attached to your side panel here, you're done with the pneumatic in your main enclosure. Okay, now it's time to hook up your pneumatic lines to the bulkhead fittings that are going to be in your side panel here. Just make sure that the blue air line goes to the bulkhead fitting that has the blue air line on the other side of it, and green to green. And then you will be hooked up pneumatically for your whole machine. Okay, you're going to find a flexible water hose attached to the water fill solenoid. This hose needs to be routed around behind the main enclosure. After this hose is routed behind the main enclosure, it will come down and connect to the top of the cross for the incoming water connection. It'll be mounted with a hose clamp right there.
This supplies water to fill the barrels with.
That's correct. When you do an autofill, it will provide the water that will fill your barrels when you're filling media and water. Okay, the last water hose we have to connect is the drain from your media feeder chute. This hose you'll find already connected. You need to run it down here and connect it to this fitting. This fitting is connected to the spill pan for your turret. This is where the water will drain from your media feeder chute to. This should be all the tools you're going to need to hook up your hopper and your elevator to the main unit. Just going to need a couple of socket wrenches. I use a 1/2 inch drive and a 3/8 inch drive. You're probably going to need the 1/2 inch drive because for the leveling bolts on the elevator, you need 1 1/8 and 1/8 socket. You're going to need a 9/16 combination wrench. These are the brackets and the bolts that you'll be using to secure everything. You're also going to need a step bit. The step bit's going to be necessary for drilling the hole in your side panel to fit the bulkhead fittings. The hole you're going to be drilling the size to is a 13/16 hole, and that will fit the bulkhead fittings. You're also going to need a 9/16 socket, a 7/16 socket, and let me see, it's a 5/16.
Lastly, we are going to convert the HMI screen from CPC4000HD to an FA fully automatic. First step is inserting the USB with the data into the port above. A window will pop up to confirm which program you will want to convert to. Press on CPC4000FA HMI program. At this point, the data will start transferring for conversion. It will take around a minute. After, the HMI will show that the transfer has been completed. Before pressing the screen, make sure to take out the USB drive. Press the Acknowledge button on the screen now. Congratulations, now you have a fully automatic CPC4000 machine, ready to use.